All right, point blank period. But the other the other player, right, that we are going to have to talk about if we're talking about the 76ers, right, is James Harden. So, Woj, when can we expect to see Harden make his debut for the 76ers?
Yeah, I was told today that the expectation is he'll be ready to play coming out of the All-Star break, and he'll be able to make his Sixers debut. And you talk about where Joel Embiid is in his career right now, at its apex. And that was such a big part of the James Harden trade that this organization is all in on these next couple years to win a title, maybe try to win multiple titles. But that's what the James Harden trade signaled to you. And it speaks to where Joel Embiid is right now, the most dominant force in the league this season.
Absolutely. And it was so fun to watch him go head-to-head with Giannis Antetokounmpo. We haven't seen it quite come to fruition in the playoffs, but that could be a rivalry that I absolutely want to see. So let's go to the Bucks side of this. What's the latest you've heard, Woj, on their buyout market plans here?
Well, there's only really one player of prominence in the buyout market, Goran Dragic, and he's spending this week talking with teams about where he might like to sign, and foremost on that list, the Milwaukee Bucks, who have great need in the backcourt. They traded Dante DiVincenzo in the deal with the Kings. They lost Pat Connaughton to an injury for about a month, and so they need guard depth. There's an opportunity for Goran Dragic to come in, play some meaningful minutes for the Bucks, and certainly have a chance to have a run in the playoffs. But the Bulls are competing for him. The Clippers, the Nets, the Lakers have tried to be involved in this. But Dragic has got, I think, closer to a decision. But Milwaukee's been aggressive, and they can offer him not just a chance at being part of the defending champions, but a chance to play a pretty significant role, and I think that's really been their sell to him. Mike Budenholzer, John Horst, their GM, as they've talked to him this week.
Well, and we know that in the playoffs, rotations get smaller, but Goran Dragic absolutely has the chance to make a real impact on a team. I want to go back, though, to the 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Maybe it's because I want it a little bit, Richard, but in a 7-game series, who is more potent?
Look, I will say this. The dominance that we saw of Joel Embiid, we don't know if we're going to see the same dominance when you add James Harden. And that's not like saying you're going to take away from his game. It just means it might be different. When we watched him dominate, it was everything is run through him. Why is it that you guys act like that's going to be the exact same? What I'm saying is that I'm not saying that they won't win the game. What I'm trying to express is that you don't dominate the exact same way when you add another superstar that's going to have the ball in his hands.
Yeah, but
just address that.
But we knew 2 years ago when Ben Simmons was mentioned in these conversations.
We're not talking about Ben Simmons. I'm not talking.
Let me finish.
Okay.
That we knew it was Joel Embiid's team. And James Harden, he made sacrifices when we saw him in Brooklyn, so much so that he started to flaunt his passing. I'm not saying that this is going to be a complete, like, mimic of James, in Houston or,
Wait. There is no way that he is going to be the exact same player.
They've been wanting a star point guard for a very long time. And,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what's the sad part about this, Sinead?
What?
Is that he actually covers the Brooklyn Nets more than anybody.
And
he was the first person to lay eyes front and center when James Harden went to Brooklyn. And we all was trying to figure out, hey, how those three are going to coexist. And we saw James Harden take a backseat and lead the league.
I'm not saying. So what I'm saying is that we don't know what their team is looking like. You guys are all being silly. You guys are being silly. You guys are being no. Wait a second. You guys are being ridiculous right now to say that we know exactly what they're going to look like. I know that James Harden.
But you're implying that Joel Embiid won't continue to dominate.
I didn't say. I said that we don't. I said we do not know yet. I said we do not know yet.
That's fair, but Woj knows all.
Well, I know this, that the Sixer team and the Sixer locker room, they are all waiting. They, as a group, when James Harden walks on the floor with Joel Embiid, what is that going to look like? How are they going to coexist? How are they going to share the spotlight? We know James Harden, he has played with centers who essentially pick and roll, dive to the basket, I'm going to throw you a lob. That's not how Joel Embiid plays.
When Woj says it makes sense. When Woj says it makes sense. He's played with Dwight Howard. He's played with Chris Paul. He's played with a bunch of people. He's over.
Right now, Embiid has to play like that.
Exactly.
You don't think he wants easier baskets?
Here's what I know.
I'm not here for
Giannis and Joel Embiid.
I didn't say
they have gone head-to-head 10 times. Giannis owns that 6-4 as of right now. So we will see how that plays out in the playoffs, I hope. All right, still ahead on NBA Today. We've got the first-time All-Star.
His confidence is just going off the roof. His overall, entire game is just improved. He's been doing an unbelievable job, and he's only going to continue to get better.
At the end of the day, I have one goal, and that's to win.
Tip by Thibault, he throws it ahead to Maxey. The Sixers are going to win. Maxey lays it in. Oh, man, overtime winner.
No, tonight I just wanted to get the win and put the world on notice as well.
Tyrese Maxey is having a breakout year. He's doubled his production in points, assists, and rebounds, and he's shooting 39% from three after shooting 30% his rookie season. And just hours after helping the 76ers get one of their biggest wins of the season, we're joined by rising star Tyrese Maxey. Welcome to NBA Today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. Yes, fellow Texan with Perk. All right, I do want to start with the impact, though, that you have had on this team, because I remember talking to Doc Rivers earlier in the season, and he told me that after last year's playoff loss, essentially you came to him and said, how can I be better? How can I make more of an impact? What did he say to you, and why did your play in that series stick with you so much against the Hawks?
Yeah, I mean, he had been saying the entire year that, I had an up and down. I was in and out the rotation. But he kept telling me, like, you're going to help us win the playoff game. You're going to help us win the playoff game. And at the time, I didn't understand what he meant. I'm like, I barely play. Like, how am I going to help us win the playoff game? But, it really boosted my confidence as soon as, like, he started letting me play a little bit more, play a little bit freer. And, it was really good success for me.
Well, I have to ask you, since you were here, it's been just 8 days since the trade that brought James Harden to Philadelphia. What have your early conversations with him been like, and how did you find out about the trade going down?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Doc canceled practice. Had a scheduled practice for like 11 o'clock. He canceled it. So I was in the car with my mom going home. She was in town. And I kept saying, I feel like something's going to happen. I just felt it like in the air. It was just like, I was like, Mom, something's going to happen. And then it came across my Twitter timeline. Like, as I'm scrolling, just freely, just scrolling on, and I was like, oh, snap. Like, it really happened. She was like, you said it was going to happen. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. But,
Sinead got up out her seat when it happened. We were on air, and she's like, I need to stand up right now.
Something definitely did happen. And your new teammate, James Harden, he did not wait long to praise you. He said he respects your overall game, your aggressive mindset. What did that mean to you to hear what he said?
Yeah, I mean, that's a former MVP. And I really appreciate him. I feel like I've known him for a long time. I've only known him for a couple of days. But he's been in my ear lately, just being myself, be aggressive. Last night in the game, I think he felt like I was being passive early. And he pulled me to the side in the timeout and said, go be yourself. And I tried to do that, and it ultimately helped us win the game.
What you got, Big Perk?
Man, for my Texas boy, so Sam Cassell, right? He's my OG, the big homie. We won the championship together, and he's always talking about you. He's always texting saying how hard you work, and he thinks very, very highly of you. I want to know what type of impact he's had on you as far as your mental, your growth, making sure you stay focused, and your development of your game.
Oh, yeah. Sam has been great, and I call him OG as well. Yeah. And he's just really been in my ear as soon as I got drafted. He called me and said, I'm gonna be your guy, and we're gonna do this together. And he's just mentorship, like you said. He has 3 championship rings, so when he says something, I listen.
Well, facts.
It's a fact. When Sam talks, you better listen.
You have a choice.
You have a choice. Listen, because Sam will grab you. He's like, yeah,
he still grab me.
Yeah, he still gets your attention. No, my question for you is that the way Ben Simmons dominates the ball is very different than the way James Harden dominates the ball, and the way you have been playing this year with being one of the primary ball handlers. Now James is a heavy ball handler, and he gets other people involved. Have you ever started thinking about like what aspects of your game you got to tweak and adjust to continue having the same impact that you're having now?
Right. So this offseason, one thing that I really toned in and working in is because playing with guys like Joel and Tobias, and thought I was going to play with Ben. You never know. But now playing with James, I knew I was going to have to hit, catch, and shoot open threes. Yeah. Because the opportunity presents itself very, very often, especially because Joel is doubled, tripled every single night. And now with James, he's going to be drawing doubles and triples also. So to be able to knock down open shots, that's one of my biggest goals.
Okay. Last thing before we let you go, just watching your game, the step forward that you've taken. You're a rising star this year. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What is the ceiling for this Philadelphia team?
I think a window has opened. A window has opened, and we'll go back to what Coach Doc says. A lot of his saying stick with
Smart
me.
move.
a lot of his sayings stick with me. And last year he said something that I think will stick with me my entire career, which was he said, "You never know how many good teams and contending teams you'll be on." And he was like, he went out around the room and just named like Tobias, you're 28 or 29, however old it is, and Joel, you're 26, Tyrese, you're 21. You never know how long the window is, right. So you have to take advantage of every opportunity. And I think that stuck with me, and I'll remember that my entire career.
Still giving the same advice. God darn.
Hey, man, it works. It works. You got to stick with it. He's trying to get what you got, big bro.
I'm telling them to listen.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Might be the only time you want to be like Perk. That's the only time.
Only time.
Hey, Texas.
Thank you. Let's go.
My goodness. I don't know. I've seen Perk be pretty fly a couple of times.
He switched it up with the turtleneck.
Don't take advice from Richard. Tyrese Maxey, thank you so much for joining us here on NBA Today. Still ahead on our show, I'll ask our panel who they think will be all the talk coming out of All-Star Weekend. Who might that be? Plus, might one of these get...
they're going to have home court advantage. Will they be number one? I think so. I think at the end of the day, when you get to the end of the season, this team they're healthy, they're moving in the right direction, they're all locked in. I think they're going to be just fine.
Well, any team that is coached by Eric Spoelstra always has a shot, and those Miami Heat, what do you say, the Goons from Dade County?
Goons from Dade County.
They are playing tough this season. All right, we're going on to the Wizards, who beat the Nets without any of their stars in a home game. They entered the fourth quarter tied, but then Washington outscored Brooklyn by 14 in the final frame. So, Chiney, better win for the Wizards or worse loss for Brooklyn?
Let's shout out, the Wizards for getting a win, but I know none of the new big three of Brooklyn played, but you know what? I don't think we have many opportunities to put a highlight on. Rui Hachimura had a big game. The bench led the way. You like Rui? 65 points from the bench, most in a game this season.
And here he goes.
Yeah.
From three.
All right. Bradley loves it.
Yep. Let's get it over to the Clippers because Pat Bev, he cheered on his former team who blew out the Rockets by 31. But look at this. The highlight of the night came from Reggie Jackson. He has crossed over two defenders at the same time. Have you ever seen that before?
I don't think so. That was bullying.
Y'all know what they call him in the locker room, huh? Reggie Hot Sauce Jackson. Don't give me why they call him Hot Sauce, but there was a lot of sauce on that.
I hate to be that guy, but he missed the shot.
Wow, of course
he missed the shot. I'm sorry.
But they still got
this isn't a participation league, y'all.
They got the bucket, though.
You know what it is?
They got the win. All right. Lastly, the Mavs, they beat the Pelicans behind Luka Doncic's 49 points and 15 rebounds. It was Luka's third 45-point game this month alone, while the rest of the league only has 2 such games. So even his coach was in awe.
And Luka set the tone early and often. We can sit here and talk about him all day. I mean, the things that he does on the court for himself, for his teammates, is incredible.
Sometimes, it's different when you play in away games. First they're booing and then they're like amazed.
I think we've used every noun, adjective to describe his game. And he just gets better when the stage is big and he delivered again. It must be the gumbo.
It must be the gumbo. All right. Luka is leading the league in scoring this month with over 36 points per game. He's also averaging over 10 rebounds and 9 assists in that span. So his good play is leading the Mavs to wins. They're 6-2 in the month of February. All right, so it's safe to say that Luka's in the zone right now. But my question to the panel, starting with you, Richard, is that trade of Kristaps Porzingis, did that unlock Luka's full potential? And if so, why?
No, I don't think it unlocked him. Kristaps wasn't even playing. I don't think that had an impact. He was in and out of the lineup, but that's not a knock. Like when a guy gets injured, your team is forced to adjust around. But he had plenty of games without him on that roster. I think Luka, in my opinion, is finally in the type of shape that he needs to be in. Coming off the Olympics, everybody was saying all the conversation. He admitted that, and look, as young players, as a 22-year-old, it might take time to understand your body and how you need to train. Right now, even the game that we did a couple of weeks ago, he had 2 dunks. He's going at people, and now he's in February, and he's starting to lock in and look like the Luka that we expect.
That was the game where the rim broke, right?
Yes.
Luka did that as well.
Oh, yeah. And he shouted out my TikTok. So me and Luka are good.
Let's not talk about your TikTok.
I am locked in.
But
on
I
Luka.
do think that, the trade actually was interesting because since that that point, the 4 games since then, has had the highest usage in the NBA because they know he's the number one option. And so I look at this, his play. I mean, what was it? 41, 51, 45, 21, 49. Look, it's the same thing. It's the same argument with Joel Embiid. When you know you're the number one option, your whole team can adjust around you. I think people know that in Philly. People know that in Dallas. So, yeah, this is the Luka that we have all been waiting for. And we know, as older players, it takes you a couple games to play into your shape. It just took Luka a little bit longer.
Right.
But go ahead, Woj.
This team has moved into 5th in the West because of what they've done defensively.
Yes.
Over the last month plus. Luka got in shape, and now he's not a great defender, but he does know their schemes. Like, that's progress there, and he can get deflections, his hands. But what they've done defensively, especially, you talk to people in Dallas and teams who are playing against them, is, they don't let teams isolate their worst defenders. Their team defense has been really good, and that's what's elevated this team.
Sure.
And listen, I think Luka Doncic, since the day he's got there, everybody knows he's the guy there. And this is a team that I think Zach Lowe in the preseason kept talking about. This is the team that maybe could make a run in the West. And I wasn't so sure that, but you look at the way they have defended. It's a little bit like in Chicago when they made all those deals and you go, we know we'll be able to score the ball.
Yep.
We're not so sure how we'll be defensively. Chicago's been elite, and Dallas is becoming elite defensively.
Well, real quick, me and Sinead just looked at the standings. Dallas and Philly have the exact same record. They have the same amount of wins. So before we start crowning Joel Embiid MVP because he's been putting up these historic numbers, we've just seen what Luka is doing. 40 and 15, done it twice this month. Like, he is playing at another level. If he continues playing like this, before we start saying, Philly's number one, look, they got the same record. So if they're both dominating the same way, I think maybe this race can get a little bit closer than people think.
Nobody even arguing that. But here's the thing, bro. You so far off your game today for the simple fact that the world knew that Porzingis and Luka didn't get along.
I knew that.
Okay. So you knew that.
Okay.
You knew that. You and J. Kidd are tight. Everybody know that, right? And so for you to come up here and say that didn't have an effect on the way that he's playing right now, dropping 49 last night. You know what?
He was historically out of shape to start the season, bro. What are you talking about? Yeah, finish your BS.
Homie. Can I finish? First thing first is that he's playing with such joy. It's a different type of joy now that he's removed from the locker room. I could take you to another example. When you look at the Celtics, they removed Dennis Schroeder. It's a certain type of joy that Daniel Tice brought to the locker room. You've been on multiple teams. You know how I feel when they have a guy.
Did they remove you from this locker room?
For what? I mean,
so his conditioning has nothing to do.
I didn't say.
But what I'm saying, address the part that I'm saying.
Okay, that's cool. But for you to act like that,
I think it's both. I think it's both, right? He knows that this is his squad. He doesn't have to deal with whatever the issues might have been, and then also he improved, with his conditioning.
Bro, I'm
gonna let Richard sit over here.
If it was gumbo,
I'm gonna let Richard sit over here, combing his eyebrows with his fingers and think about this, because still ahead on NBA Today. What a season we've had so far. We've had ridiculous buzzer beaters. We've had poster dunks. We've had absurd passes. Top plays of this season so far when we return on NBA Today live from Cleveland. Will he be sidelined? And our crew on whether LA can stay afloat. Plus, what a thriller last night between the Sixers and the Bucks. What Embiid proved versus Giannis. And Joel's teammate, Tyrese Maxey, plus first-time All-Star Fred VanVleet. They both join us live in just a bit. NBA Today starts right now. Welcome to NBA Today, live from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Malika Andrews. And hey, look, the crew, we all made it through the night. Kendrick Perkins, Shanae Agumake, Richard Jefferson, and Adrian Woj, hosts of the Woj Pod, a new episode out today with Kobe Altman. But Woj, I do want to start with you because just 2 nights ago, Anthony Davis, he went down clutching at his right foot after landing on Rudy Gobert's foot awkwardly. And then the news that Lakers fans didn't want to hear. The team said that he is going to miss some time, which is not good considering where the Lakers are currently sitting in the standings. So, Woj, what more can you tell us about his timeline?
Yeah, the Lakers are saying it's a month before he's reevaluated. I'm told the hope is they can at least get Anthony Davis back in the lineup and playing during the regular season. There's only 6 weeks left in the season once we come out of All-Star break. And you have a Laker team right now in 9th place in the West, 4 games below 500. that's trying to hold on to the play-in. And so I think for the Lakers, they've got to be able to find a way to hang in there, get a healthy Anthony Davis back before the postseason, and then try to make a run. But they will have dug a pretty deep hole at that point to try to make a run in the postseason.
Absolutely. Like you said, just 6 weeks left, and we're hearing that Anthony Davis now is going to be reevaluated after 4 weeks. But this isn't the first time that we've seen Anthony Davis's health be a concern this year. So, Perk, how should the Lakers approach his viability moving forward here?
I don't know. I mean, seriously, we keep talking about the Lakers, but here's the honest answer, right? The Lakers are dead bird tall grass. I mean, like, at the end of the day, we came into this season knowing that it was championship or bust. They're not going to win a championship. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, even AD returning, like, if he returns, is he going to be 100%? Like, you know, they got a hard schedule remaining. They have teams that are surging for us, like the Portland Trail Blazers are playing excellent basketball. The Pelicans are right there on their heels like a pair of socks. So I really don't know what to say about this, except that they're not going to accomplish their goal this season.
And you mentioned the schedule remaining. The Lakers actually have the hardest schedule remaining right now in the NBA. So without AD, it's going to be much more difficult because that was the anchor of your defense. But I'm looking at the next 10 games at least, because one thing Perk and I agreed on yesterday, hallelujah, was the fact that, all right, they have to be able to play with effort and energy. Those are necessities for them to compete. The fact that we're talking about the Lakers competing is wild, but at this moment, I think LeBron James, you maximize on him being available. He's missed about, 17 or so games, so no minutes restriction. Just see if they can stay afloat, and then if they stay afloat, can they be in position for the playoffs, and then hope that AD can come back.
Here we go. Why would you, here we go, what? I'm saying, why would you kill LeBron James right now and try and play 42 minutes and play him 42 minutes? I'm not saying dial his minutes back, but ultimately, you look at this team. You have to win 16 games to win a championship. 16 games. These guys have won 27 this season. So, and we're at the All-Star break, and that is not a disrespect. That's just the reality of the situation. So even if you're like, well, if they get there and get healthy, maybe they can make a run. They're not making a run of 16 wins against the most elite competition.
I think a lot of the detractors are saying, all right, shut them down or start things over. You don't have AD. That's not the case. What I'm here to say is that, I live in LA, right? So do you, RJ. We know and now does Malika. Yay. Hey. We know that it's not like you quit on a team.
No,
so,
not in LA.
Yeah, not in LA. So I think the reality here is that they just have to play with effort, try to stay afloat, get in the playoffs, and hopefully make some good ending out of this.
Well, let's
remember, and they got in the postseason last year. They had Phoenix until AD went down against Phoenix.
They were up 2-1.
They were up in the series. And so, listen, I agree. I don't think they have enough to get in the postseason, make a run, win a title. But they could still give somebody trouble if they're all healthy, if they're all there. Can they get to April with that being the case?
Right, but as Richard Jefferson likes to say, the play-in tournament is not the playoffs. So let's talk about a team that really does have a chance of doing some things, because the other big story coming out of yesterday was, how about Joel Embiid and the 76ers? He took it to the champs. He finished with 42, 14, and 5. So talk about going into the All-Star break on a high. Here's Mr. Embiid following that performance.
I'm playing at such a high level. I don't want to stop. I want to keep on going. I feel really good. I'm not going to just go and, not work or, take a couple of days off. Feel pretty good. So I got to keep going. And, I'm also excited to see, how we all look, together when healthy, and obviously James playing the next time we step on the floor. So that's going to be exciting.
All right, so we're talking about a big man, so let's go to Big Perk. Joel Embiid, what did he prove to you with yesterday's win over Milwaukee?
That he's the best player in the game of basketball. Like we talked about babies and Richard with 9 months, and is it a boy or a girl? So we might as well stay on that topic, right? If Hakeem Olajuwon and Kevin Durant had a baby.
Oh, gosh.
Guess what? It would be Joel Embiid that would come out, right? So he's so skilled, and he took that matchup personal yesterday. He cannot be guarded. If you watch him, he has everything in his arsenal. I mean, step back three-pointers is so beautiful to watch. Sprinting the floor, running with great speed, great pace. I could play bully ball too, get and ones, go to the low block. Look at that move right there. He is the best player in basketball. Basketball.
I mean, do you agree with that, RJ? 38 per game. Woo, baby. All right, joined now by first-time All-Star and just the fourth undrafted player in the modern era to ever be selected as an All-Star. Fred VanVleet. Thank you so much for coming on NBA Today. Absolutely. All right, whether maybe it's your children or whether it's your teammates or whether maybe it's people who are coming up, playing the game, watching you be selected as an All-Star, as an undrafted player, what do you hope that shows those folks?
Just to believe in yourself. Put the work in. You know, it can happen. It's definitely a lot harder, to take that path that I've had to take. Different challenges and things like that, but it's possible. So don't let anybody else define who you want to be.
Well, sometimes the path of most resistance is also the path that's most rewarding. But you said recently that while you and Kyle Lowry were super close, you weren't sure you could fully unlock all of your potential when you guys were on the floor together as teammates. What has happened since he has left?
Just more opportunity. Kyle is such a dominant guy and just a dominant force and, one of the best point guards in the NBA for a long time now. So with him leaving, has left a lot of responsibility, a lot of opportunity, and I just try to step up and improve each year, and I've been able to do that so far.
Well, and you certainly have stepped into those shoes, Janae.
And this stat was so nice, we have to say it twice. You lead the league in minutes per game right now, around 38 minutes a game. And I know some of your starters on your squad in Toronto also are in that category. How has that impacted you and your game in this resurgence so far this season?
It just allows you to be on the floor more, so it's a different approach to the game. Knowing your rotations, knowing when you're coming in and out. Definitely a lot more workload and on a nightly basis having to do a lot to perform for the team. But that's the situation we're in this year, and I think the ones that are playing, we're just embracing the challenge.
Well, Fred, hey, look, congratulations, man. I'm telling you, your story is inspiring. I love it. I have two sons play AAU basketball, and I always tell them it's about the marathon and not the sprint. So congratulations to you and making a great example to the youth. But I want to ask you this about your rookie, Scotty Barnes. What do you think his ceiling is, his potential, and how is he in the locker room for us gravitating towards you being the leader and things to that nature?
Yeah. He doesn't really have a ceiling, to be honest with you. Because you got to think he could start on your center. He could start at center for us one night, and then he could start at point guard for us the next night. He's guarding fives. He's bringing the ball up. He's initiating offense. He's knocking down threes. He can do it all, and he just got a great spirit for the game, a great energy. He's got a star personality. So I'm excited to see, how he pans out.
Absolutely.
So my question is more, I want you to talk to the young fellas in this league. And, you're getting to that veteran status now. It happens quick, though, doesn't it? But listen, because your story is so great. For you to be, to win a G League championship, then go up and win a championship, and now you're one of the few, non-drafted players to ever make an All-Star game. What is it that still wakes you up and motivates you every single day, knowing what you've already accomplished in your early part of your career?
I just want to be great. I never set out, with super goals in this. I just wanted to be great, and I always want to continue to get better. So there was no checkpoint that I reached that I was like, oh, I'm done. So when I made it to the league, I wanted to do more. When I won a championship, I want to win another one. And I'm an All-Star. I want to not be a one-time All-Star. Mm-hmm. So it's just finding that ambition and not being satisfied with what you got, because we do live a good life and things are good and, we're spoiled and pampered, but it's always more out there, and, I just try to stay hungry. Before
we let you go, you said a championship. You want to win another one. This Raptors team lately, you guys have been turning some heads. I know you went on Draymond Green's podcast and talked about the last time you won a championship. You talked about the shot. You talked about feeling like you guys were the better team in the finals. So I know you have honest assessments of yourself and your team. As you're looking around this season, what